everyone, welcome to my nookery. My name's Linda, and for today we are having the video for today is the knitting of a doll's vest, and this is going to be the start of making wearables for our doll, for Ava. And we are going to be actually the tutorial is all about making the vest for an 18-inch doll. And as you can see, I'll put her arms down. I had her arms up so I could put the vest on, how it fits. And as you can see, the back is higher than the front, although it doesn't look like it, it is. And it's very easy to do. If you've followed the basics, back to basics videos, you will be able to complete this. The only thing that's going to be different, guys, is I'm going to show you how to cast off. And I think in the back to basics I did actually show you how to cast off, but this is just a refresher. So we're going to be doing exactly the same stitches as we did in the back to basics. We're going to be doing knit one, purl one, which is the rib, and that's what I call it, and that's what it's going to be called throughout this knitting series. Then we've got the knit one, purl one row, which is the stocking stitch, and then we're going to be doing some garter stitch. So it's really very simple, guys. And then all you got to do, you do two pieces, the back and the front, and then you sew it together, and that's what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to turn you to overhead and let's make a start, shall we? Hi everyone, welcome to today's knitting tutorial, and today we are going to be making a doll's vest. And the reason, as I've explained before, the reason why I'm doing this is because it's something small and it's something that you can, I can teach you how to shape for the armholes, for the neck, the neckline and that, and but as I said, we're going to be doing a series of this, so you'll learn all the ins and outs of increasing, decreasing, and that, and picking up, making stitches, and everything else. So first off, what you're going to need some white 3-weight yarn, and I am using Deramores Essentials. It's 100 grams and 322 yards, 295 meters, and you can machine wash at 30 degrees. So what you need, the needle sizes you need are, the first ones you're going to need are a USA 3, and here in the UK it's either a 3.5 or a number 10 needle. And US 6, here in the UK, old style is number 8, but it's a 4mm needle. And we're going to actually start with the smaller needles because we're going to be doing the rib. So what you need to do is you need to cast on 33 stitches, and this is for an 18-inch doll. So you need to cast on 33, and as I've shown you before, you make let me just go through that. You make a slip knot, and then you put your needle, your right needle through the stitch on the left hand needle, yarn round needle through, swing across, bring your left hand needle in and scoop it on. So, and then for the the third stitch, because we've got 2 stitches, you go in between the 2 stitches, yarn round needle, pull through, swing to the right, left needle, scoop it onto your left needle. So I'll do it again. In, round, through, scoop, swing, scoop. In, round, through, swing, scoop, in, round, through, swing and scoop onto your left hand needle. So we've got 6 stitches, so you need to have 33 stitches on. So I will meet you back here when we've got the when you've got 33 stitches on your needle. Okay, so we've got 33 stitches on. I'll just bring you in a bit closer. There we go. So we've got 33 on the needle. So now we're going to do the knit one, purl one, stockinette, rib stitch. No, it's not stockinette, it's the rib or cuff, however you want to describe it. For this video purposes, I'm going to call it rib. I've always called it the rib, and that's what I'm going to do. So we need to do 4 rows of this. So we're going to start with a knit stitch. So that's knit, purl, knit, purl. And you all remember, well I hope you remember, that your knit stitch, your yarn goes behind the right needle. You put your needle in the stitch on the left, yarn round needle, through and off. To do a purl, you yarn in the front and you're scooping it onto the right hand needle in the front and scoop it off and put it on. So you go the front, yarn round needle, scoop, yarn to the back, yarn through stitch, through and off, yarn to the front, into the front of the needle of the stitch and purl, knit, yarn to the front and purl. So to knit, you've got a cross, and that's how you know you're doing a knit. And the purl, you're scooping it through the front, so your needle is in the front of the stitch, and you do that right to the end. And because it's an odd number of stitches, guys, we should end on a knit stitch. And all you do is just continue doing that, knit one, purl one, right across the row. And you do that for 4 rows. So this is nearing the end of the first row. So on the first row, because it's odd, the odd number, you start with a knit stitch. When it's an even number, which is row 2, row 4, you start with a purl stitch. So here we are. So I've got the right amount of stitches on because I'm finishing on a knit stitch. And now we're starting on row 2. So row 2 and row 4, you start on a purl stitch. So again, yarn, needle through the front of the stitch, yarn round needle, transfer stitch to your right hand needle, and then make a cross for the front, and there you knit. And that's what you've got to do for the next 3 rows. So you finish on row 4, and I'll meet you back here to start the stockinette or the stocking stitch. Okay, so I've got I've done the 4 rows of rib, and now we're going to change needles. So I'm going to put this to one side, and I'm going to bring in US 6 or 4mm UK, or an 8 if you're old school. So now we're going to start doing the stockinette or stocking stitch. And the first row, odd numbers are always knit unless it says differently in a pattern, and the even numbers are purl rows. So we're going to continue just knitting all the way across these 33 stitches, and I always like to check after I've knitted the rib. I always like to double check and make sure I've got the exact number of stitches that I need to have on. And it's just like crocheting, guys, you always need to make sure you've got the, you know, the correct amount of stitches before you go on to the next row, etc, etc. And it's the same with knitting, because if you're one stitch out or you're one stitch less, it will knock the pattern all out of sync. So always keep a count. So that's the knit row, and I know you can all knit. And if you're new and this is your first time here, I have got a list in the description box below. I've got a list, the link to the Back to Basics. So I've just finished with this needle, put that to one side. I'm picking up the next needle, and we're going to do a purl row. And as you know, your needle goes into the front of the stitch for your purl, and you keep your yarn in the front of you to the front. So I will see you guys at the end of this row, and then I'll tell you what the next step is. Okay, so I've done my knit row and purl row, and you're going to continue knitting, knit a row, purl a row, until your work measures 8 centimeters from here to where you've finished. And when we come back, we will start shaping for the armhole, and this is the back of the vest, guys. So you're going to go away now, and you're going to knit a row, purl a row, until your work measures 8 centimeters, and I'll see you back here to start the armhole shapings. Okay, so as you can see, I've got my 8 centimeters. My work measures 8 centimeters. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do these 2 rows. So we're going to do another knit row. We need to do another knit row. So once you've done your 8 centimeters, you then do another knit row, and then once we've done that, I should have said to finish on a knit row, sorry guys. Anyway, so and then we'll make a start on the next stage. So it's looking quite nice, isn't it? I do love white for vest and panties for Ava, my doll. And what is your doll called? And who are you making it for? These dolls' clothes, are they just for you to practice your knitting with? So there we go. So finish on a knit row, do your 8 centimeters, do an extra knit row, and now we're going to knit 9. Even though it's a purl row, we're going to knit 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. And then we're going to bring the yarn forward, and we're going to purl to the last 9 stitches. So just continue purling until you come to the last 9 stitches, and then you knit them 9 stitches. And this will set the precedence then for the shaping the armhole. So I just need to make sure I've got 9, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So what you do is you knit 9 and then you purl 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. You purl 15. So you knit 9, purl 15, knit the last 9 stitches, which should give you 33 stitches. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do a plain knit row. Just a plain knit row, guys, and then the next row, even though it's a purl row, we're going to start decreasing for the armhole on the back. This is the back of the vest, guys. This is the back. And while we've done them knits, will all become clear as we go further up the vest with the shaping of the armholes. I'm so excited to do this, and Ava will look beautiful in her new vest, and then we'll do panties later on. After this tutorial we'll get work on the panties, little panties for Ava. Right, okay, so we've knitted that. Now we are going to start shaping the armholes. So what we're going to do is, because we've knitted the first 9 stitches, we're actually going to knit. And for this we're going to cast off 5 stitches on both ends. So what we're going to do, we're going to knit 2 stitches, and we're going to pass this first stitch over. Let me just make sure you can see it. There we go. So let me just do that again. So we've knitted the first 2 stitches. You're going to take your left hand needle and you're going to put it through the first stitch, and you're going to scoop it over, so you've got 1 stitch left on your needle. And you're going to knit another stitch, and the stitch that was left you're going to take it over the new stitch, so that's decreased 2 stitches. So you're going to knit another stitch, and then you're going to scoop this stitch that was left over the new stitch, and that's 3 stitches. And then you're going to knit another stitch. You're going to take the stitch that was left on the right hand needle, scoop it over the new needle, and you've decreased 4 stitches. And this is the last. Remember, we're going to cast off. We're going to cast off. This is what we're doing. We're casting off stitches, and then we're going to knit a new stitch. The stitch that was left, we're going to scoop over, and you've still got that stitch. So you've 2, 4, 5. So you've decreased, cast off. I don't know where decrease is coming from, guys. You've casted off 5 stitches, and you can see. Let me just get a. Yeah, I've got a crochet hook here. Whoops! Just so I can show you what I mean. So you can see the stitch. So we've got 1, we've got 2, we've got 3, we've got 4, and we've got 5. So we've casted off 5 stitches. You've still got this stitch remaining on here, and you're going to knit 3 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to purl 15 until the end and then you're going to knit you're just going to purl the 15, knit the 9, and then we're going to cast off the 5 stitches on the other side. So let's do this. So there we go, we've purled the 15 stitches. So you've got the 4 stitches, because don't forget we've casted off 5, so that makes that 4 stitches remain on here. Then we've done the 15, so that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, and now we've got the 9 stitches remaining on the needle. So we're going to just knit those 9. There we go. So we've knit the 9 stitches, and now what we're going to do, we're going to cast off the another 5 stitches, and so this side matches this side. So what we're going to do is we're going to knit 1, knit 2, put your needle through the stitch on the first stitch that you knitted and scoop it over. Then you're going to knit another new stitch, the stitch that remains, you're going to scoop that over. You've still got 1 stitch remaining. You're going to knit another stitch, the stitch remaining, you're going to scoop it over. You're going to knit again, so that's 3 stitches we've cast off. So now we're doing the 4th, and now we're doing the 5th. There we go. So we've casted off the 5 stitches, and then we're going to knit 3. We're just going to knit to the end, and I'll see you at the end. Okay, so as you can see, we've cast off 5 stitches from either end, and that is the shaping of the armhole. So now what we've got to do is we've got to do 7 rows of knit a row, purl a row, remembering that on the purl rows we're going to knit the first 4 stitches. So we're starting on row 1, and as I said before, in this case it's a purl row, so we're going to knit the first 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, purl the 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then we knit the next 4 stitches, because we want to keep the garter stitch on the end here. Can you see it here? We want to keep that, and that'll create a nice strap for the vest. So so we've done 1 row. I need you to go away now and do another 6 more rows, and I'll meet you back here and we'll shape the neck. So I'll see you back here in a minute when we're done. Sorry guys, I've given you the wrong number count. What you should actually knit is 9 rows. So you need to end on a knit row, so that when we come to shape the we're going to be working on this side, the reverse side, which is the purl side. So instead of doing 7 rows, please do 9, and I'll see you back here. Okay, so we've done the 9 rows and you're finishing on a knit row. So the next row we're going to actually be casting off for the neckline. So what we're going to do is we are going to knit the first 4 stitches. So we're going to knit them 4. And then we've got these next 15. So these 15 stitches now are going to be decreased. We're going to cast them off. So keeping the 4 stitches on the needle, we're going to, I know it's a purl row, but we're going to knit 2 cast off. So we're going to knit 2, 1, 2, and as before, we're going to put the needle through the first stitch and carry it over the second stitch, but we still got 4 stitches on here. Then we're going to knit the next stitch and scoop the previous stitch over. We're going to knit 1, we're going to scoop this stitch over, going to knit 1, scoop the stitch remaining on the needle over, and you're going to do that until we get to the end, not right to the end, until we've got these 4 stitches on the needle. So if you continue doing that, you knit 1, scoop the stitch on the right hand needle over the new stitch, you've got 1 stitch remaining, you're going to knit 1, you're going to scoop the stitch over the new stitch. So you've got an old stitch and a new stitch. So you're going to make a new stitch, you're going to take the old stitch and skip it over the new stitch, and that's what we're going to do. So you're going to have that effect. So you've still got these 4 stitches, guys, but you've got this as well. So what you're going to do now is scoop over, knit and scoop over, and we've got 5 stitches. We're going to knit and scoop over, but we've got 4 stitches, but we still got 1 stitch here, and we need to cast this stitch off, so we'll have 4 stitches on either end of the needle. So then we're going to knit this stitch, scoop that over, and there we've shaped the back of the neck of the vest. So now we're going to finish this row, knitting the last 3 stitches. So we still got 4 stitches on the needle, and then we're going to knit. We're just going to do plain garter stitch, guys. We're going to do 7 rows of garter stitch. So 1, and what just an idea as well, if you want to mark them off, so I would do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then just mark row 1 off, and you can keep an eye on it like that. Just a little tip for you if you're not, you know, if you're fairly new to knitting. So that was 1, this is 2, and I'll meet you back here when we've done the 7 rows. So there we go, we've still got these 4 stitches on here, and we've done the 7 rows here. So now what we're going to do, we're going to cast these off now. I'm going to cast them off. As before, you knit 1, you knit 2, you pass the first stitch over the second knit stitch, then you're leaving one stitch on the needle, then you're going to knit another stitch, you're going to pass the first stitch over the new stitch, you've got one, and then we've got one, and now we're going to knit this stitch. We're going to knit it, but we're going to cut the yarn and bring it through. It's just like when you crochet and you come to your last stitch and you do a single crochet, and we're just going to pull that through, and that's the end. Finished there. Now remembering we've still got this to do, so we're going to have to rejoin the yarn. So you're going to have to rejoin the yarn, leave a little bit of a tail so you can weave it in, and we're just going to now knit 7 rows for this one. So this is row 1, and we've got 6 more rows, and when you've done your 6 rows I'll come back and I'll show you again how to cast off. There we go. So I've done the 7 rows, and it matches perfectly with this one. So we're going to cast off. So I'll just show you again. You knit the first 2 stitches, and then you scoop the first stitch over the second stitch, you knit another stitch, you skip the first stitch over the second stitch, you knit the next stitch, you scoop that over to there, and then you want to knit this stitch, whoops, knit the stitch and pull it through, and there we have excuse me, the back of the vest. So what I need you to do now is to go away and repeat what we've done up until we're casting off for the armholes. So you need to do 8 centimeters, then you need to do a knit row, then you need to do on the purl row, you need to knit 9, purl 15, knit 9, and then we'll start decreasing for the front, and the front is totally different, guys. So rewind and make a start on the front of your vest. Doesn't that look cute? Ava is going to look really swanky with her new vest. So I'll see you when I have completed up until the armhole shaping on the front of the vest. Okay, so there we go. I've gotten up to the 8 centimeters plus 1 knit row, so I'm ending on a knit row, and I kind of counted to make sure I've got the same number of rows here on this one as I did on here. And the best way to count them, if you just, I'll just move you down a bit. Can you see? Let me just see. So you can see kind of it kind of got little notches, and you can count them and they will give you the number of rows. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And I've done the 4 rows of rib, 33 stitches cast on, 4 rows of rib. I've got 19 rows, and I'm going to now, and I've counted these as well. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So I've got my 19. Now this is the next row what we're going to do, and this is will set precedence for the strap of the vest. Can you see where it's all garter stitch? There we go. Let me just move that out a bit. There we go. So this row is going to set precedence for the straps on the vest. So what we're going to do now is we're going to knit 9, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, and then we're going to purl 15 as we did before. So we're going to purl 15, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And if you count on this needle, you should have 9, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, and you're going to knit those 9 stitches. So that's 9 stitches. Okay. So now we are going to cast off 5 stitches here and 5 stitches here, which is what we've done here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to knit 1, knit 2, you're going to scoop first stitch over the second stitch, you're going to knit 1, you're going to scoop the first stitch over the second stitch, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4, and that's 5. So we can see we've got 5 because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 garter stitch. So we're just going to knit now to the end, because this is our knit row, and we're just going to continue knitting right to the end, and then on the purl row we're going to actually decrease another 5 stitches for the armhole shaping, and that's how we do it. I hope this is you're able to knit along with me, and you're understanding how I'm explaining things. If for any reason you don't quite understand what I'm saying, then just email me and I'll be more than happy to help you. So we've reached the end of that row. So now, whoops, drop my needle. That's unusual for me. So now we're going to cast off 5. So we knit 2 stitches. You always have to have at least 2 stitches on to do a cast off. Scoop the first stitch over the second stitch, that's 1, knit 1, that's 2, whoops, knit 1, that's 3, knit 1, that's 4, knit 1, and that's 5. And then we're going to knit the next 3 stitches, 1, 2 and 3, and then we're going to purl 15 and knit 4. So we've got my 4 stitches here, so we're going to now purl 15, so that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and I've got 4 stitches. So there we go. Now I want you to go away and do 3 rows. If you can just do 3 rows. In the front we worked a total of 9 rows. This one is the front, and the neckline is different. So I want you to go away and knit 3 rows ending on this on this row. So this is going to be number 1, number 2, number 3. So when you come back, you're going to have your work facing you, and we'll work on shaping the neck. Okay guys, so I've done the 3 rows, and you can see it's a lot different to the shaping of the back. The back is more higher up, and the front is going to be lower down. So what we're going to do now is we're going to knit the first 4 stitches, which we're going to keep them, and now we're going to decrease these 15 stitches here. So what you're going to do, and I know it's a purl row guys, but we're going to knit these cast off stitches. So you're going to knit 2, and then you're going to bring the first stitch over the second stitch, still keeping these 4, but you've got 1 stitch. You're going to knit, bring this stitch over, you're going to knit, you've got 2 stitches, you're going to bring the first stitch over the second stitch, and you're going to continue doing that right the way across. Knit 1, 2 stitches, first stitch over the second stitch, 1 stitch left, and you're just going to continue right along until you've got 5 stitches left on your needle. On this needle, I mean, on your left hand needle. So when you've got 5 stitches left on here, I'll show you what to do next. So there we go. Right, okay. So we only need 4 stitches. So what we're going to do is we're going to knit that 1, and we're still going to have 5. So you're going to have to knit 1 of the stitches on your 4, which will then make that 4, and knit to the end. So you have got exactly the same stitches on either side, and that's your neckline for your vest. So now what we're going to do is, as before where we did 7 rows here for the strap, on this one we are going to be knitting 15 rows guys. So you're doing 15 rows, and then you're going to cast off, then you're going to rejoin your yarn to this side and do 15 rows on this side, and then it's done. But I will come back and show you again how to cast off this and how to rejoin your yarn to this, and we'll get that, and we're nearly finished the vest. We are nearly finished our vest guys. So go away and do your 15 rows, and I'll meet you back here when I've done my 15 rows. Okay, I've done the 15 rows, and now I'm going to cast off, and as you can see it is a lot bigger than the back, this strap. So we're going to cast off as before. You knit 2 stitches, knit 1, knit 2, you bring your first stitch over the second stitch, that's 1, knit 2, knit 3, you've got 1 stitch, knit that stitch, so you still got your needle, snip it, and then just pull the yarn through, and that's one side finished. Now we've got to do exactly the same, so we're going to do another 15. Going to do another 15. So I've got my yarn. I'm holding one piece in this hand, and then I'm going to knit the 4, and then I'm going to knit, so that's row 1, that's row 2, and all you got to do is just pull that a little bit and it'll make your stitch shorter. So that's 2. I've got another 13 more rows, and then we'll cast off, and then I will show you how to put it together. Okay, so I've done my 15 rows on my second strap, and I'm going to cast off as before. You knit 2 stitches, scoop the first stitch over the second stitch, scoop, knit, scoop, knit, scoop, and I'm still going to knit the last stitch, guys, leaving it on the needle, cut, and then I'm just going to pull that through and tighten it. And there, let me just move them out of the way before I poke myself, and there, guys, is the back and front of my Ava's vest. So what we've got to do now is we've got to sew them together. So what you need to do is turn them inside out. Hold on, that goes that way, that goes that way. So on both sides you've got your pearl showing, pearl stitches showing, and we're going to weave in. So you need to join them at the top here and down both sides, so you've only got 4 places to sew, and then you weave in your ends, and that's it. So you need a tapestry needle. Let me see if I can get one. There we go, a tapestry needle, and we'll start by I want to weave in this end. I want to show you, just move that out the way for now. I just want to show you how to weave in. So I'm going, if I move it down a bit, maybe you can see. So what I do, because this is quite loose, what I'm going to do is I'm going back up the stitch just to secure it, and then I'm just going to weave up and down the stitches. Depends on how you want to do it. I'm going to go back up. That's what you do. And I think I'll go down one more time just so I know it's secure. And that's one side weaved in. There we go. And you can't see it on the front. And I mean, I'm sure you know how to weave in, guys, but I just thought with the knitting. And then I want to weave in this as well on this side. So let's see this. So I'm going back over the stitch just to secure it, and then I'm going down. I go down about 4 rows, guys, 3 or 4 rows depending, and then I go back up and I come back down again. There we go. Chop that off, and that's the weaving end done. And now all I've got to do now, guys, is again making sure that both the front are the same, and you on both sides you've got the pearl rows, and I'm just going to sew them together. So we're going to sew that side and we're going to sew that side, and then we're done. And the top of the sleeves. So I'll see you when it's all sewn in and Ava is wearing it. Okay, so there you have your little vest. So as you can see, the back is higher than the front. You got your little straps, and all we need to do now is just put it on our doll, and Ava will look quite snazzy, I think. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you've got a little bit of more insight into using all the stitches that I've taught you in the Back to Basics, and the description for all the videos are in the description box below. I hope to see you next time, where we're going to be doing some panties to go with our vest. So until next time, guys, take care, stay safe, but more importantly, guys, be kind to you, and I'll see you all real soon. Bye for now.